Hey everyone, and welcome back to my review of the Wizards Dark Times Brotherhood. Today we're going to be taking a look at this VR action adventure game that lets you experience the power and magic of being a wizard. So let's get started. Now, for those that are not familiar, The Wizards is a game that was produced several years ago by Carbon Studio and published by Vertical Games. They since updated it to The Wizards Dark Times, which is the VR version, and it is really spectacular. I highly recommend checking it out. But today, I'm going to review The Wizards Dark Times Brotherhood, which that has now added an extra dimension to the game, multiplayer. So today, we're going to be taking a look at this new content that adds a whole new dimension to the game. The Brotherhood expansion adds a new storyline to the game that picks up after the events of the main game. In this story, you'll have to team up with your fellow wizards to stop a powerful new threat that's emerged from the shadows. I really enjoyed the new story. It's well written and engaging, and it adds a lot of depth to the game's lore. The Brotherhood expansion also adds a number of new enemies to the game. These enemies are all challenging and well designed, and they'll force you to use your strategic skills to defeat them. I thought the new enemies were a great addition to the game. They're all unique and challenging, and they add a lot of variety to the combat. And I also enjoyed a number of the new environments in the game. These environments are all stunningly beautiful and well designed, and they really help to immerse you in the game's world. The new environments are a great addition to the game, and they will help make the world feel even more expansive and alive. So let's talk about the actual mechanics of the game for a moment. You have to create the spells with gestures with your hands just by grabbing the grip button and rotating your hand to make a fireball, or in the case of a shield, you can make a gesture to bring your arm in, and it creates a nice fire shield in front of you. You can also take that shield and throw it like Captain America right on through the enemies, and it does damage. Now, these are just a couple of examples as to how you cast these spells. You're given 3 classes. Solar class, which is basically fire, where you throw fireballs, and you are an offensive damage dealer. You have the Ice class, which is a defensive class, which allows you to throw up ice walls and do other things as well. And then you have the Lightning class, which is more of a support role, but it's really cool to be able to dual wield some lightning javelins, is the best way I like to put them, and throw them towards the enemy. So as a team, you plow your way through the different enemies using your different spells to get to the end of each environment. Now, in case I was not able to impress this upon you before, I cannot express to you the gratification that I get by wielding these spells. You actually feel like you're conjuring a fireball in your hand, or conjuring a fireball. And not only that, once you conjure it, you can power it up by making another gesture with the motion controllers. You power up whatever it happens to be in your hand to a next level. So for instance, if you're holding the fire bow and I bring my hands together and grip and then pull them apart, it creates a fire spear. Now, where before I was just shooting arrows at the people and they were kind of doing some damage, but not a lot, the fire spear does a lot. And so you throw it, and when it hits, it's able to take down a lot of enemies in one go. And in fact, imagine my shock and surprise when I learned that the fire spear was a homing spear, which is kind of the case with most of your spells. So this kind of gets rid of the traditional problem of aiming in VR, where things can get a little bit glitchy. This one has mercy on you, thankfully. And so most of your fireballs or your lightning bolts, they will home in on the nearest enemy. So if you throw the fire spear, it does a lot of damage. Don't worry about it missing, because if it gets close, it will probably hit. So with all of these great gameplay mechanics, this makes for a very fun game to play and enjoy and experience. And it's a great game if you've not played VR very much. It's a great way to be introduced to it. So like I've said, it adds a lot of new content with the Brotherhood expansion, including a new story, new enemies, new environments, and new gameplay mechanics. I highly recommend it to anyone who enjoyed the base games. Now, the Brotherhood expansion is good for anyone who's looking for a great VR action adventure game. The game is challenging, rewarding, and Let's face it, it's a lot of fun. Especially recommended to the game to fans of fantasy and magic. Well, thanks for watching my review of the Brotherhood expansion. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will talk to you again soon. Peace.